we might be back with sound. Um, Here's hoping. I've got one green dot. It's not really going up much more than that, but 1 out of 5 isn't bad. It's meant to be a quiet channel anyway, so we're just gonna work with what we've got, and hopefully it will stay connected this time. I should probably also look into buying a better microphone because this one I got off Amazon for like $40 to start with, and I don't know if it's just gotten moved around too many times and the cable's getting pinched or something. Hi, Atavia. Can you hear me this time? I'm really hoping this is working. It's got 1 or 2 green dots. It keeps flipping up and down. So fingers crossed this is actually working right now. Okay, fantastic. So basically I'm just going to start over because I completely scrapped the first live and I'm not sure what part it cut out at as far as the story. Hi Logan, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Okay. So basically, when I was very young, about 13, we moved my room in the house from the regular floor bedroom into an attic that we completely rekitted. So, we redid the walls, they were all wood. But being an attic, there's only 2 windows. So you've got one window at the far side of the room, at the front of the house, and one window all the way back by the stairs at the back of the house. And those 2 windows faced east and west. So we've got light coming through those 2 sides, but no lights or anything, windows in the middle, because that was storage space, because it was an attic. Hi, Gwenny Bug. You want to come say hi? Okay, cat break, because she's adorable. Hello, Munchkin. This is my tiny monster. Every time you guys hear me cursing at her in a video, it's usually because she's knocking stuff out, because she is a very, very bad tiny monster. But she's so cute and I love her, and she makes little squeaks. But so I would come in my room sometimes. There would be random stuff just knocked over, books on the ground, very far away from my bookshelf. And at the time, I didn't have any cats, and the dogs were very small, and they would not climb the stairs because the stairs were so narrow to get into the attic. They never climbed up there. So please don't get on the dining table, Gwen. This is what I mean. She's a bad cat. She just climbed on the dining table. And so none of my stuff should have been falling over the way it was. I'm talking like if my books are on a shelf right here, they would be 3 feet in the other direction. Like they had been grabbed and tossed on the ground. Just random stuff like that would happen. So it had been a few months since I was in the room, and I wake up one time at about 2 a.m, middle of the night. And I see this figure standing over by my staircase, like right in front of the staircase, like they had just walked up the stairs, turned and looked at me. And it's about 6.5 feet tall, because my ceilings were super tall, pointed attic ceilings, so a little over 7-foot ceilings. And I mean, to this day, if I stand on tiptoes, I can't even touch them, and I'm 6 feet tall myself now. But this figure was just solid black. And this was, again, when I was 13. So I just turned 31 today. So that would have been 18 years ago. Holy cow, 18 years ago. Is that right, math-wise? I can't do math. I suck at math. I think that's right, though. Yeah, so we didn't have Tales of Slenderman. MySpace was brand new. We didn't even have Facebook yet back then when I was 13. So now you might know stories about the Top Hat Man, this entity that people see all over the place. And a lot of psychics and stuff have said is a demonic entity that roams this world and tries to find souls to kidnap or whatever the lore is about Top Hat Man. That's basically the figure I saw. But again, we didn't have the internet resources like we have now. So that legend I had no familiarity with at all. I just saw this figure and I felt that energy coming toward me, and it felt so dark and so evil, and it scared the ever-living heck out of me. So I was going to just roll over, bury my head under a pillow, and try to pretend like it wasn't there and hope that saved me from whatever the heck was going on. And as I'm like rolling back over to like tuck myself under the pillows and blankets and everything, sitting where there is no chair at the side of my bed is this older lady in like a 1940s, 1950s style getup. So collared shirt buttoned all the way up with like lace trim, big fluffy full skirt. Looks like a very sweet lady. Um, Almost in like a rocking chair kind of deal. And she was just glowing, for lack of a better term. She did not seem harmful at all. She seemed super peaceful. Uh, and I kind of got this sense that she was there because that big scary figure was there. Um, so it made me feel safer. So I was just kind of like, she's here, cool. Hi, hey, how are you? I'm still gonna bury my head under this pillow and try to go to sleep like nothing's happening, because this was freaking me out so bad. And then I did not tell anyone this story for years. My family's Lutheran, so I grew up in a slightly Christian-esque home. We didn't really talk about this kind of stuff hardly ever. But my grandparents and I would watch a lot of TV shows, and they would watch Ghost Adventures and all that kind of stuff, back in the day when Ghost Adventures was still new and cool. And so when I was about 17, 18 years old, maybe, I finally told them this story. And they were both stunned that I'd seen this kind of thing and never told them for so many years. And my grandparents went and got out an old picture album, and they just started flipping through it like, oh, is it this lady? Oh, is it this lady? Oh, this is your great aunt, blah, blah, blah. This is your great aunt, blah, blah, blah. And then we get to one of the few pictures of my grandfather and his mom. And I swear if it wasn't a spitting image of her. And I had never seen this picture before. Maybe once when I was a very, very small child. But we didn't get out the photo albums a whole lot of times. We moved around several times when I was a kid. I was born in Mississippi. Then we moved to Michigan. Then we moved here to Indiana, but we moved around a couple times within each of those states too. So most of our stuff, it was packed up, it was going here and there and everywhere and getting transitioned around. So if I'd seen her picture ever, it was like one time and I would have been super small. But I saw that picture and I was just like, oh my God, it was her. She was the one sitting next to my bed, making sure that figure couldn't get at me. So that was just stunning. But going back in time a little bit, being the crazy inquisitive 13-year-old that I was, we had a couple books that my mom had tucked in I really think she was protecting me, Atavia, and I'm super, super grateful for that, because that was a really scary event for me. But my mom had a couple books tucked in between her, fantasy novels and all that. Because one of the things I get from my mom is a love of reading, especially fantasy novels like R.A. Salvatore, Terry Brooks, old school fantasy, like D&D, Nevermore, or Neverwinter Lands inspired kind of novels, big fantasy novels. But when my mom was in college, she had some interest in some new agey stuff, and she had a couple books by Scott Cunningham, including, I had to buy a new copy for myself, but she had The Magical Household by Scott Cunningham. And then she also had his Rocks, Crystals, Metal Magic, and I think another one that he did about herbs. So completely unrelated, I saw these on the shelf and I started reading them. And there's a lot in here just about like feeling the light energy around you and working with and having reverence for the earth and its energies and spiritual guidance. Scott Cunningham describes himself in a lot of his works as like a solitary Wiccan practitioner. Doesn't really follow specific paths, just kind of did what was always feeling right to him. And I really resonated with these books when I was younger. And I was like, this makes so much sense to me. So I read some of these, checked out a couple other books from the library that were on the same shelf. Can't remember specifically who they were by. Again, it was a long time ago and I was really young. But I figured out from these how to do energy shields, basically. So finding and feeling energy from the earth, the elements. I'm more of a storm girl myself. So, rain, water, wind, that kind of thing. Especially big storms that come through. I love those. and then pulling down energy from the moon, just, all of these different resources that we have. I started reading up and studying on how people use that to protect themselves by forming domes or cages, essentially, of positive energy and light. And they maintain it through visualization and practice and energy minding, basically subconsciously almost all the time. So I started training myself on how to visualize that kind of thing and feel the energies moving around, to the point where I was able to actually construct a protective cage of moonlight and earth energy and keep it up all the time, and kind of keep spirits pushed away from me so they could not enter that space, especially whatever the heck it was that was in my room that night that was a negative entity. And that's basically how I got started down this path with my spirituality and everything, because there's not a lot of rules except for what you feel is right. I personally don't get into hexing or cursing or anything of that nature, because I do believe heavily in karma. I do believe that the energy you send out into the universe will come back onto you. So I try to keep it in the positivity. That's just me. That is not necessarily the only path that you can choose. That's just my personal standing on that one. And then I branched out from there into more kind of divination. Astrology was also really big back then. So learning about different astrology signs and kind of how that plays into the way that people communicate and cooperate. I won't say that astrology, when it comes to the horoscopes and everything, is 100% accurate. There's a lot of interpretation that's open there. And you have to remember that a person's nurture, the way they're raised, the way that they're taught to do certain things, oftentimes can and will override their nature to some degree. So it's not foolproof, but you can kind of identify different communication styles and stuff like that from learning about astrology and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting in that regard. So I started learning about that. I started learning more about the elements and how they fit into our lives. I've always been a big crystal girly as well. I was collecting rocks off the ground and all the pretty little multicolored quartz that we would get at all the gift shops when I was like 8 or 9. I started in with that stuff because I was just, ooh, pretty rocks. I'm such a dork. So that's kind of where I got started with all that, was this weirdly traumatic incident that led me down a path of discovery to something that just felt really, really right for me. Scott Cunningham, if you're getting started in this or you're just curious about the way that different people do things, he is a great author. I'm fairly certain he has passed away now. At the very least, he hasn't published any books in a long time, except for they did find the manuscript for his book of shadows that was never published before. Some of his descendants found it and found all the manuscripts and put it together with information from like his previous works he did publish, and they published this. So both of these are fantastic reads. I do also have Psychic Witch, which is, I feel like, more of a subset spiritually. It's a lot harder to hone psychic abilities if you don't know how to feel and interpret energies. Oh yeah, I can definitely put the name of the books in the chat later. So the first one is, or I can just do it now. I said later and then I'm doing it. Yeah, because my camera will not zoom in on this kind of stuff. So the Magical Household does have a co-writer on it with the new edition. I think because he passed away, there's like a foreword and stuff. So it's Scott Cunningham and David Harrington. And then Cunningham's Book of Shadows. The Path of an American Traditionalist. That's the subtitle of the book, The Path of the American Traditionalist. And I've only seen that one in the like dark green cover like this. It's a super cool book. But I like his perspective on it because he definitely embraces casual, everyday magic and rituals. A lot of just traditions that some people do take for granted every once in a while here and there. Like, oh, on May 1st, you go outside, you grab the morning dew off the grass, you rub it on your face for a summer of beauty. That kind of thing. All these folklore traditions that we have that are derived from ancient witchcraft, or decorating Yule trees, or Samhain, the holiday we just had, Halloween, wearing masks, carving pumpkins, all have their roots in ancient pagan practices. So he does touch on that some, while also bringing modern touches to things. Oh, nowadays we don't really have cauldrons and kettles and stuff like that as part of our standard new age kitchens, but we do have food processors and stuff like that. So if you don't have a mortar and pestle, use a food processor to grind up your herbs before you do lines around your windows for protection. That is fine. That is a modern substitute. You don't need 6 pounds of gear to accomplish one simple spell. So he was definitely a great interpreter for that, and I learned a lot from his books. So that is always awesome. Tea break really quick. Because I made a nice big cup of tea. Yeah. Cup of tea so I could sit and chat with you guys for a while. And we got to keep the actual ASMR part alive. So, sipping tea. But yeah, I think learning just how to feel everything around you, as far as feeling the elements, feeling connected with the earth, feeling the sun and moon, the energy, the way that they feel different. Even if you go outside for a long time during a summer day and you get all nice and roasty and you're out there doing things, and you come back inside and you smell like your hair, not the sweat, but you can smell the sunlight in your hair, that warm, golden freshness. And it's so distinctive. And it's a smell you can't bottle because it doesn't smell like anything else. It's pure sunshine captured on your body. That's the kind of energy that you're moving from sensing with your 5 physical senses to feeling moving around you. Another great way to start with that is getting grounded with the earth, going outside when the weather is, slightly better than what it is here right now. It's like 34 degrees outside, so it's pretty cold. So I wouldn't do it today unless you have a really good cold tolerance. But go outside barefoot. Sit down with the soles of your feet in the grass. Put the palms of your hands down on the ground as well. And just feel the energy of the earth. Listen for Mother Nature's heartbeat. If you give it a little bit, you will start picking up on it. And that's part of why I am so passionate about recycling and taking care of the earth, because it is alive. And regardless of where your beliefs come from and everything, it is what takes care of us. It's where our food comes from. It's where our water comes from. The very air that we breathe is cycled through the earth's natural gifts. And we need to take better care of it. So I am a huge advocate for that kind of stuff. And learning how to feel the energies of the elements, especially in the earth moving around us, I think is a great place to start for anyone that wants to get started on this kind of path, but isn't sure if they have a natural gift for psychicism or anything of that nature. Is that the word? I'm trying to think. Is that the word? I think it's the word. But that's a great place to start, is learning how to feel energies. Once you're feeling the energies, start visualizing them moving through your body, moving through the atmosphere around you. I got to the point within the past few years where I can visualize and push and pull energy in storm systems to kind of try to ebb and flow, split it consciously while it's still moving around. And it is exhausting, and it does give me headaches sometimes. But it is a crazy cool feeling. And it doesn't always work. I mean, storms are massive, and they are huge forces of nature, and there's a lot of elements at play there. So you can't necessarily control all of it at any given point in time. It would take someone way more experienced than me to be able to pull it off all the time. But we get some crazy weather patterns around here, and being able to learn how to visualize to that degree to where you can. Sorry, I think there's a cat hair or something stuck to my face. I feel so awkward right now that I'm doing this. But learning how to visualize to that degree to where you can identify, feel, and then actually try without overextending yourself. That's the thing. You have to keep your earthly tether if you're going to do something like try to play with storms. But learning how to manipulate all of those takes years of practice. Same with any kind of psychic interpretations, reading the future, stuff like that, through tea leaves, tarot, palm reading, you name it. It's tricky. It's keeping your energies open while keeping yourself intact. That's the hardest part about it. I did not get good at tarot until the past couple of years, and I've been trying for a while now. Because it is a completely different skill set than energy manipulation and working with the elements and kind of your basic foundations. It takes a lot of introspection and then opening yourself up in a different way. But time is not linear the way that we know it. Time is very fluid. So if you keep an open mind in that regard to what time and the fates are willing to share, you can be decently successful. And speaking of that, since it's my birthday, let's get out the Anne Stokes Oracle deck, because this thing is just flipping beautiful. I love it so much. And let's do a birthday pull real fast, because why not? It wouldn't be me if there weren't cards involved somehow, right? Yeah, I tell you, honestly, concentration and meditation, it's incredibly rough. I'm not gonna lie, I probably have ADHD. I have not been formally diagnosed because the American healthcare system is fun. Getting diagnosed is hard for anyone, but especially like females present differently than males, so the symptom set is just harder to recognize a lot of times. But meditation for me is kind of a crapshoot. I will always get distracted by something. So having a goal in mind that is not just clear your mind, center yourself, blah, 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 but having an actual goal of, okay, today I'm going to feel the earth, but I'm going to let the earth speak to me. Kind of helps, because having one point of focus is a lot easier for newbies or people that are just not having the easiest time with it, instead of going for a complete brain empty meditation. Single point of focus is a great place to start with that. I don't know if that helps at all with the issues you're having about concentration, but that is one thing that helped me, was not going for total emptiness, but going for just, I have one thought, one goal, and I am going to achieve it. And that is the only thing I'm going to think about right now. And I am going to leave myself open to this achieving itself. Openness in that regard is, whoopsie-doo. Okay, so one card jumped out. We've got Blue Moon, which is a beautiful unicorn art piece that she did. We're going to go for two. We're going to do a past and future. Keep it cute. So in that regard with concentration and meditation, I hope that helps. Feel free to, I guess you can't really send me a direct message on here. My Instagram handle is in my bio. You can direct message me on there. And oh, welcome back. Oh, car payment, rough. That is always a bummer. Yeah, but feel free to direct message me on Instagram, Otavia, and we can talk more about your meditation. Because yeah, concentrating and clearing your mind is nearly impossible sometimes. I mean, there's a million things going on, and second card is Sailor's Ruin. Oh, I love that. Oh my god. Yeah, of course. And any advice that I give on this kind of stuff is not like professional advice or anything like that. It's just hey, been there and this helped me. So any advice I can give you, I will do as much as I can. I just can't guarantee anything or make any promises, just like I would never sell you a love spell because not everything is going to work even when you want it to. But if I find something that works, I will pass it on to you as much as I can. Alrighty, so past and future. And I feel like this Sailor's Ruin is actually indicative of something completely different, but we'll talk about that in a second. Because I am still like a 2015 kid obsessed with mermaids. Okay. Gothic Oracle guidebook. I just love Anne Stokes art. It's so pretty. Oh my god. I mean, did I ever show you guys the back of these cards? This is the back. This is just what the back looks like. A dragon sitting on top of a skull. It's so good. It's so pretty. I wish my camera was better. I'm sorry. Okay. So past ending this year with my birthday, we have, again, the blue moon card. So that is going to be, sorry, it has a whole section in the front of like different card spreads and different ways to read the cards, which is pretty nice. I love it when they do that kind of stuff. And then it's in alphabetical order, so it'll take me just a little bit to get to blue moon here. Okay, apparently this card mainly symbolizes luck. Seemingly impossible becoming possible. Suggests you'll become the beneficiary of prosperity. Fortune will favor you. You'll likely be in the right place at the right time. Surprise opportunities and random synchronicities are part of this card's message. Whether you find a little extra than you thought in your bank account this month or meet with someone who could positively change your life. Okay, that is super interesting because we're doing a past future reading. So the past being the card of fortune, the card of luck, I would say rings true. I have been super fortunate the past couple of years. Especially because every time something bad has happened, there's still been something good to come of it. Like, I broke up with my partner of 4 years, which, is a huge deal. But they were the one that kind of encouraged me, being a big fan of ASMR themselves, to start this channel. I mean, they were thinking more like, oh, there's a train going by. I am really sorry if the train gets super loud. I can't pause it or anything because we're doing live and I thought the trains were done for tonight, so I'm really sorry. It might get loud for a second. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but they were thinking more like, roleplay ASMR is the classic stuff that people do. That's what they thought I would do. And instead I pivoted to this. I was like, hey, do what you know. I started with just relaxing audio because that was the kind of technically ASMR adjacent stuff that I enjoyed. So I practiced video production by cutting those together, my first few original videos. Then I moved into guided meditations, trying to use my ideas and things that I've learned as far as taking steps to meditate to kind of push you along into different meditation practices, setting up different scenarios, describing them, just really honing in on using my voice. And then to take it a step further is when I moved into doing spell work in videos, doing crafts in videos, and then, oh, thank you. I kind of do miss doing the guided meditation videos. They were a lot of fun. And I think I just kind of ran out of ideas there because I didn't want to get too repetitive most of the time. Hi, baby. I'm sorry, she's super chatty today. She just keeps squeaking at me. You probably can't hear her on the microphone because it's not picking up a whole lot right now, but she squeaks a lot. Yeah, but then I wanted to transition from the guided meditations because I didn't want to get too stale and just be saying the same things over and over again. I wanted to give you actual value with the content. Oh, okay, we have a friend. Yeah. It's always fun to make videos when she's in this mood. Baby. Good girl. So I figured, why not elevate everything into actual spell work? And I'm still trying to diversify my content a little bit with the, like you mentioned, Atavia, the choose a record with your friend because you're having a bad day, doing actual role play style ASMR, but still keeping it true to myself with being relaxing, supportive, here for mental health, and trying to embrace being there for you. Because if I'm just doing this for a screen or for fans, it doesn't feel like I'm actually doing anything that's good for the world. I'd rather be doing something that's beneficial for you. And now I'm getting sidetracked again. Sorry, I get so I talk in circles all the time. So second card was Sailor's Ruin. Now for a future card, let's see what the actual interpretation is in here. But I am going to take that as having a personal meaning, and I'll explain that in a second here. But the official meaning for my birthday future for the next year is Sailor's Ruin, showing this lovely siren holding a skull, is temptation. We can all relate to temptation in its many guises. If it is not physical beauty that seduces us beyond our limitations, then it can be wrapped up in many other attractive packages, such as food, alcohol, laziness, overspending, or a bad choice of partner. The sailor's ruin is in his lack of resistance. If you have drawn this card, you may have already succumbed to temptation or may be on the brink of doing so. Sometimes the people and things we know are not good for us become the most attractive and persistent options. Sailor's Ruin reminds you that most desires, such as the odd treat or letting your hair down, can actually be beneficial in moderation. However, too much of a good thing can become detrimental. What is tempting you at this time, and what might be the cost of giving in to your urges? What are you? Y'all see what I live with? Hey, baby, you're not supposed to be up there. Get down. Hey. Hey. Can you get down, please? Come on, get down. Crazy animal. She'll get down when she wants to get down and not a second sooner. I can't tell her what to do. She's 4 years old and she runs this place. So, temptation. Huge temptation to quit my job. That takes up a whole bunch of my time. But this to me kind of showcases a different desire that I've had for a really long time. So I had this phenomenal idea for a book series involving descendants of fae and supernatural creatures in the modern age. And the main character I keep coming back to is a descendant of sirens. So this to me is kind of like, hey, future, embrace this. And I mean, the temptation to quit my job, what better way than to, actually write my novel and see if I can get it to a point where it's good. I don't know. So that just the art speaks to me here. And since it's a future poll and I've had this idea for this book, book series, because I have a couple other characters in mind, but this is definitely going to be the main character of book one before we start getting into different characters and their role in this universe. It's been in my head for like 3 or 4 years now. But for the past couple weeks, I have just been thinking about it constantly and making Pinterest boards for the characters and stuff like that. I don't have a unicorn character in there, Gwen, do not jump on top of the fridge. Oh boy. This cat, I swear. Yeah, I don't have unicorns represented in there. The main characters right now, book 1 is going to be a siren main character, and then books 2 and possibly 3. Book 2 for sure is going to focus on a phoenix descendant, and then her best friend is a mermaid descendant of a totally different bloodline and character typing than the siren that I'm wanting to do for book 1, because I kind of want to bring in mythos from all different cultures into this story. So this to me is just kind of like, hey, you're pulling for your future. This is your future. What are you waiting for? Which is not necessarily the meaning of the cards that they have in here, but sometimes the cards show you what you need to see. And what's in a book is not always the only definition. So I'm taking that as a very positive thing, and I'm going to run with it. And with that being said, it is almost 11 o'clock at night here. No idea what time it is for you guys in your time zones, but it is getting pretty late. So I am going to probably hop off here pretty soon. It's also been over a half hour that we've been talking. This has been super fun. I love talking to you guys. If you have any more questions that you want me to answer, definitely feel free to reach out. I would love to. Personal issues, personal tarot readings. I love practicing. So give me something to, try out. I've got a couple different tarot decks now, including that nice Anne Stokes Oracle deck we can play with. Yeah. And I love being here for you guys. So this has been super fun. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. I love you so much, and have a wonderful night.